My brother slept with my girlfriend. My parents cut-tie me to protect him, but now they want me back after I inherited a huge fortune from my grandfather. I am 25 years old and the youngest of 4 children of my mother, 52 years old, and my father, 54 years old. My siblings are Michael, Sarah, and my twin brother, Carl. For context, growing up, I was always the black sheep of the family, and I knew it from a very young age. My family is full of athletes. My father was a high school basketball star, my mother played volleyball, Michael played soccer, Sarah played softball, and Carl was the star running back on the football team. I was never interested in those physical sports. Instead, I took an interest in archery, which my family considered a sport for weaklings. My parents were always focused on my siblings and almost never attended my events, to the point that I basically had to beg them to come to my tournaments. Between the ages of 14 and 16, I participated in about 20 tournaments, and my parents only attended one. They never neglected me materially, but emotionally, they were never there for me like they were for my siblings, and as a teenager, that hurt. Every time I tried to talk to them about it, they called me an attention seeker. However, that was not the reason I was disinherited. When I was 15, I started dating Ami, now 25, who was in the same grade as me. After about 6 or 7 months of dating, I introduced her to my parents and siblings, and everyone really liked her. Even though I was young, I saw myself having a future with her. Almost 3 years later, a former friend of Ami's told me that she had been cheating on me for a few months. At the time, I did not know who with, but when I confronted her, she confessed that it was with my twin brother. She basically told me that although she loved me at first, the love she felt for my brother outweighed it. That same day, I confronted Carl at home, and I was so furious that I punched him by surprise and knocked him unconscious. I admit I should not have gotten violent, but it was years of resentment towards him and the rest of the family that just exploded. As an exchange for my family not pressing charges against me, since I could be tried as an adult, they sent me to live with my paternal aunt, who was 44 years old, who was estranged from the family and lived in another city about 2 hours away. Since then, I have had no contact with them. At first, it was hard, but with the support of my aunt and her husband, 48 years old, I managed to move on and stopped wishing for a relationship with them. I transferred to another high school, attended a university in the city of Miami, and graduated as an electrical engineer. Later, I met my wife and married her. At that time, I thought about inviting them to the wedding, but I ruled it out because I did not want any kind of drama on that special day. From that point on, my wife and I bought a house an hour away from where my aunt lives, and we were blessed with a daughter a year ago. About a week ago, I received a message on Facebook from my mother and father wanting to reconnect for Christmas at their house. I told them I would consider it, since I possibly had other plans, but that I would give them a clear answer soon. Later, both Michael and Sarah sent me friend requests, which I found strange. My wife told me that if I decided to go, she and our daughter would spend Christmas at her father's house, since she does not want to deal with unnecessary stress, especially since she is 2 months pregnant. And I agree with her. My question for those who are reading this is, should I go and try to reconcile with my family or not? I am very conflicted about what to do. On the one hand, maybe they feel bad about what they did to me and want to apologize, but on the other hand, maybe if I go, they will try to make me apologize to Carl, and I do not want to do that. Any advice would be helpful. Update 1. I wanted to post this earlier, but some things got in the way. 2 days after Christmas, my wife started experiencing excruciating pain in her abdomen and could barely stand. Her sister, 30 years old, and I rushed her to the hospital, where we were informed that she had suffered a miscarriage and that the fetus had to be removed immediately. Honestly, the worst part was having to explain to my wife what had happened. Due to complications related to the operation, my wife had to stay 2 more days in the hospital. I have been trying to stay strong for her and our daughter, but honestly, I am struggling a lot right now. Also, regarding the updates to the original post, most of you who commented that same day told me not to spend Christmas with them because of the importance of that holiday. I agree, and I decided that I would spend the rest of the holidays with my wife. They never made time for me, so why should I do it for them? When I wrote this to them, I assumed they would try to argue with me, but instead, they said they respected my opinion and could not wait to see me after the holidays. I started doing some research on my family to try to figure out why they had reached out. Michael is a corporate lawyer and works for a large company in my hometown. Checking his Facebook page, I saw that he has 2 daughters and married his wife in 2016. Sarah, on the other hand, appears to be married to a doctor. 8 years ago, she was studying to be a nurse, and now they have a child together. I have a friend who lives in my hometown whose parents are friends with my parents. When I asked her about Sarah, she told me that she had divorced her first husband, whom she had been dating for 8 years, after he committed bank fraud. Carl married Ami right after graduating high school, and they have 2 children together. I have not been able to find out exactly what he or his wife do for a living through Facebook, but considering they bought a large house last year, in the middle of a pandemic, that tells me they are not having financial problems. My father seems to be going through a midlife crisis, and my mother is very involved in the wellness community. Then I started piecing together the reasons why they might have wanted to contact me now. 1. Money could be a reason, but it is unlikely. 8 years ago, my parents' combined salary was higher than mine and my wife's, and considering my siblings are not having financial problems, I doubt money is the motive. 2. Organ donation could be a possibility, albeit unlikely. One commenter mentioned that since Carl is my twin, he would be the most compatible candidate in case I needed an organ, but I doubt it, because I saw Carl tagged in a Facebook post right before Christmas, and he seemed fine. 3. My daughter. They might be trying to get closer to have a relationship with my daughter, but honestly, I am not sure. My daughter is not my parents' first grandchild, so I do not understand why they would specifically want to meet her. Most likely, they found out about her existence because my wife's Facebook account was public. She has since made it private. Then they contacted my aunt, the one who took me in, to inform her about the situation. She explained to me why they were really looking for me after all this time. To understand it, you have to know why my aunt was estranged from the family. My paternal grandparents, my grandfather is 79 and my grandmother is 76, had 4 children. My father is the second oldest, and my aunt is the third. After college, my aunt decided she would not work in the family business and would go live on her own. My grandparents immediately disinherited her and refused to have any contact with her. However, about 4 years ago, my grandfather started trying to reach out again. About a month ago, my grandfather started asking about me, about what I was doing in life, if I was married, or if I had children. My aunt replied, confronting him, telling him that now he wanted to know about me after having supported Carl for what he did to me. And that is when the situation took a turn. My grandfather told my aunt that it was because I had cheated on Ami with one of her close friends, so I deserved all the contempt. My grandfather is a religious fanatic, so he looks very unfavorably on infidelity. They, my family, had told him that after the person I supposedly cheated with confessed to Ami, she sought support and comfort in Carl and Sarah, but that when I found out about this, I supposedly brutally attacked Carl and Sarah. The truth is that, although Sarah was the one who tried to separate Carl and me, I never laid a hand on her, and I did not do what they said I did to Carl either. When my aunt told me this, my jaw dropped. I could not believe they hated me so much as to make up such a horrible lie about me and spread it. Then, my aunt told my grandfather the whole truth, what really happened, and she told me that he was shocked because he always thought Carl was a good guy. My grandmother, however, asked my aunt for my phone number, but she refused to give it to her. And that is when I found out why my parents and siblings really wanted to contact me. It turns out that my grandfather had told my parents and siblings that if they did not apologize to me for what they did and did not invite me to the family Christmas dinner, he was going to exclude them from his will. For context, my grandfather is a multimillionaire. So that was the real reason they looked for me. Not to apologize for everything they did to me in the past, but because if they did not, they would not receive anything from the inheritance. A bunch of greedy bastards. After learning this from my aunt, I decided to block everyone. Why should I answer them at this point? To me, they are all dead. I have a wife to support after what has happened and a family, my in-laws, who do respect me. But it did not end there. 3 days after New Year's, I received a call from an unknown number on my work phone. Since, because of my career, I am used to receiving unknown calls, I answered, and it was my grandfather's voice. He most likely got my number from my company's website. The first thing he did was apologize for not trying to contact me for the past 8 years. He told me that he was very sorry for not having been present at important events like my graduation, my wedding, and the birth of my daughter. I was never very close to him, so the fact that he ignored me did not hurt me too much. Later in the call, He told me that he was so disgusted with the rest of my family that he was going to exclude them from the will as well, and that now he would include me. Honestly, I do not know how to feel about it. The money would be useful, of course, but I do not want him to use it as a way to force a relationship between him and my daughter. We talked for about 30 minutes, and for a moment, I thought that maybe I could build a good relationship with him. But then he said something that made me extremely angry. He told me that he was disappointed that my daughter did not have the family's last name. For context, after marrying my wife, the topic of what last name to use as a family came up. For legal reasons, I could not change my last name to my wife's, but we decided, as a couple, that all our children would have her last name. At that moment, I lashed out at my grandfather. I called him a decrepit old man and other hurtful things, and told him never to contact me again. The audacity of this man to say that after everything I went through, I will not allow him to use the money I am going to receive in the inheritance to control me. Even if I receive the money, I will donate it to a local charity. But, being a man of empty promises, I doubt that will even happen. These last few weeks have been really tough for me, and I hope I can get through it. My wife has made her Facebook account private, and my in-laws did the same. What they will do now to try to contact me is beyond me. They will probably hire a private investigator to try to find me. I think they do not know where I live, but you never know. I have thought about requesting a restraining order, but considering there are lawyers in the family, getting it will be complicated. I did not have much time to answer the questions I was asked in my last post before it was deleted for some reason. I will do my best to answer any questions during the next day or two, but after this, I am going to stop using this site for a while. Thank you for all your advice, and I wish you all the best in this new year. Update 2. Hi everyone, it is time for another big update from me, and wow, it has been a roller coaster. A lot has happened since the last time I wrote, and I have some pretty strong things to share. Let us start with my grandfather. Our relationship has always been a bit unstable, with lots of ups and downs, mainly because we did not talk much, but he recently did something that totally surprised me. He agreed with my decision that my children bear their mother's last name. Not only that, he also said it is okay for them to decide if they want to change it when they are older. For a man of his generation, that is pretty progressive, and honestly, it made me feel really good to hear him support our decision. During a recent visit, to introduce my children to their great-grandfather, he dropped a bomb, just like that. He told me that he included me in his will and that I would inherit something between $2 and $3 million in assets. Yes, you read that right, millions. I was in shock, not only because of the amount, but because suddenly everything made sense. Why my family, out of nowhere, wanted to get closer again. This inheritance thing has made me rethink their intentions a lot. Now it is quite clear that their sudden interest in reconnecting had more to do with the money I would possibly receive than with a real desire to make amends. It is disgusting to realize, but not entirely surprising, given the things that happened between us. All of this has made me relive years of family drama. I was always the weird one because I did not like sports like them. I got into archery, and everyone thought it was silly. The betrayal of my twin brother 8 years ago was the last straw. He messed with my girlfriend, and instead of supporting me, they kicked me out, sided with him, and practically erased me from their lives until now. And now, after so many years without contact, they show up wanting to reconnect, right when Grandpa changes his will. Coincidence? I highly doubt it. Introducing my children to my grandfather went better than expected. It was nice to see them together, and he seems to have really enjoyed it. We had an honest conversation, and he told me a lot of old family stories, which was interesting and left me thinking a lot. But I cannot help but feel like there is always a hidden agenda with my family. Now I have to decide what to do. What do I do with this inheritance? I do not even know if I want to get back into the family drama just for money, and I do not know how to handle my grandfather's sudden interest in my life without feeling like it is all just because of the will. It is a lot to process, and I am trying to figure out the best way to move forward. If anyone has any advice or has gone through something similar, I would love to hear it. Family can be very complicated, and right now, I feel like I am in the middle of a soap opera. Thank you for letting me vent here. This community has been a great support amid all this madness. I will keep you posted on what happens next. Hopefully there will be less drama and more peace in the future. Update 3. Hello Reddit. Here is the gossip. Someone, I suspect one of my uncles, who has always been a loudmouth, leaked the information about the change in my grandfather's will. and suddenly my Facebook inbox is a war zone. Messages from relatives I have not spoken to in years, accusing me of absolutely everything from being a master manipulator to tricking a poor old man into leaving me his fortune. Honestly, the creativity of their accusations could fuel a Netflix series. The irony is that I have done nothing. I barely speak to my grandfather, let alone have any influence over him or his will. But here we are, and now I am the family's new favorite villain. Let me paint you a picture of the messages I am receiving. 1. My older sister, who usually does not even remember my birthday, sent me a long message talking about family loyalty and how I have betrayed everyone's trust. She ended her message with a very passive-aggressive, "I hope you are happy with yourself." 2. Then there is my cousin Dave, who suddenly wants to reconnect after years of silence. His message started out all nice and nostalgic, until he dropped the "Hey, what about Grandpa's will?" 3. And let us not forget Aunt Linda, who directly accused me of using black magic. Yes, literally. Those were her words to influence Grandpa. I did not know whether to laugh or be offended. Honestly, the audacity and drama of it all have become my new form of entertainment. My wife and I have started making bets on who will say what next. Will Uncle Joe say he sees me controlling Grandpa's brain with some high-tech device? Will Cousin Sarah create a Facebook group to save Grandpa from my clutches? The possibilities are endless, and oddly enough, quite funny. Here is the point. This whole mess has given me a lot of perspective. Seeing my family lose their minds over money has only confirmed why I distanced myself from them in the first place. There is something liberating about seeing their true colors so clearly. It is like a confirmation that I made the right decision by staying away. And it is not about the money for me. I have built a life I am proud of, away from family toxicity. I have an amazing wife, wonderful children, and a peaceful home. No inheritance can beat that, no matter how many zeros it has. For his part, Grandpa seems oblivious to the chaos he unleashed. Or who knows, maybe he planned all of this as some kind of final test to see who is who in the family zoo. The last I heard from him is that he just wanted to be at peace, get his affairs in order, and make sure I knew he supported me. It is strangely touching, even if it has caused a hurricane of family drama. For now, I am just sitting back and watching it all unfold. I am keeping a record of all the messages, partly as legal backup if things get any worse, and partly because you never know when you will need a good laugh at the absurdity of it all. As for responding, I am staying out of it. No messages, no calls, no getting involved, like watching a soap opera where you root for the chaos, but from the safety of your couch. Thank you for letting me vent and for all the advice you have given me before. It has been a roller coaster, and somehow sharing it here makes it a little more bearable. I will keep you updated if anything crazier happens, but for now, I am enjoying the peace that comes with having my priorities straight. See you in the next update. Update 4. Hi everyone. Some of my relatives have officially crossed the line. They are suing me. The reason? They think that since my children do not have the family last name, I should not inherit from my grandfather. Their argument is based on a very strange interpretation of family legacy and entitlement, which is really just a thinly veiled attempt to keep Grandpa's money. But that is not all. They are also questioning the validity of the will, claiming that my grandfather was not of sound mind. According to them, only someone mentally incapacitated would leave a significant portion of their estate to someone whose children do not bear the family name. They are painting me as a master manipulator who tricked a vulnerable old man into cutting everyone out of the will. My grandfather was absolutely furious when he heard about the lawsuit. Despite his age, he has an energy that I have always admired. He called me fuming and assured me that he had everything under control. I have a good lawyer, and I am not going to let these greedy opportunists destroy my family, he declared. It was both comforting and sad to hear him so upset by the actions of his own family. Now he is completely involved in this battle, actively working with his lawyer to defend his decision and prove that he is mentally competent. He has made it clear to everyone that his will reflects his true wishes and that he made those decisions with complete lucidity. This lawsuit has plunged the family into chaos. Some members who were initially hesitant have now taken sides, mostly against me, motivated by greed or resentment. The few who remain neutral are staying out of it, but it is said that the tension at family gatherings, which I do not attend, by the way, is through the roof. Reactions to Grandpa's firm defense of me and his will have been varied. Some are surprised that he is taking such a firm stance, while others are angry and doubling down on their accusations. It is like watching a family implode in real time. On the legal front, things are looking pretty good for us. Grandpa's lawyer is one of the best, and he has been meticulous in documenting Grandpa's mental capacity and the clarity of his intentions in modifying the will. They have gathered statements from his doctor, friends, and other relatives attesting to his mental lucidity. We are also preparing for the possibility that this will drag on. The lawyer has been very proactive in organizing our defense and making sure we cover all possible angles. It has been a lot of meetings, a lot of paperwork, and a lot of strategy sessions, which is surprisingly exhausting. This whole ordeal is taking a toll on everyone. For me, it has been a whirlwind of stress, frustration, and disbelief. Seeing my family turn against me for money has been disheartening, but also revealing. My wife has been my rock, helping me navigate these turbulent waters and keeping life at home as normal as possible for our children. Meanwhile, Grandpa is somewhere between angry and heartbroken. It hurts him to see his family so divided, but he is also determined not to let greed win. He spends a lot of time with his lawyer, making sure everything is ready for whatever comes. Update 5. Hi everyone. The big news: we won the case. And it was not a simple victory, it was a legal beatdown. The judge completely dismissed my family's claims against Grandpa's will, making it clear that there was no evidence of manipulation on my part and that Grandpa was completely in his right mind when he made his decisions. But here is the best part. Since their allegations were deemed baseless and frivolous, the court also ordered them to pay both Grandpa's and my legal fees. Tremendous turn of events. You would think that losing the case and, on top of that, having to pay our legal expenses would make my relatives reflect on their actions. But no, all they managed to do was usher in the next act of this saga. Shortly after the verdict, several relatives began to show up, literally coming to my door or calling me non-stop, begging for forgiveness. They wanted me to help them convince Grandpa to reconsider and put them back in the will. It was a complete 180 from their previous aggressiveness and arrogance. I must say, telling them to get lost was one of the most satisfying moments of my life. After years of being the black sheep and then going through a legal nightmare, I did not have an ounce of compassion left for their pleas. I was very clear. Not only would I not advocate for them to Grandpa, but they are no longer welcome in my life in any way. Bridges were burned, and this time, I was the one holding the torch. Grandpa was equally firm when he heard about their latest antics. He laughed scornfully and said he was not rewriting anything in his will. Let them learn the hard way, he told me on the phone in a firm voice, though I noticed the weariness. This whole process took a toll on him too, but he was relieved to see that justice was served and that his true intentions were respected. This experience has been eye-opening. I have learned that family is not always defined by blood, but by actions and respect. My true family, the people who supported me through all of this, are my wife, my children, Grandpa, and a few loyal friends. The rest is just background noise. Now that the lawsuit is behind us, I am focusing on the future. We are planning a little getaway to relax and celebrate the victory, just my wife, my kids, and me. As for Grandpa, I promise to visit him more often with the kids so he can enjoy his great-grandchildren without the shadow of family greed looming over us. Thank you all for the support and advice throughout this battle. It has been a wild ride, and sharing it here has been incredibly therapeutic. I will be back with updates from time to time, but hopefully, my next post will be about more cheerful adventures and less drama. Take care, and remember, sometimes standing up for yourself means standing up to others, even if they are your own family. Update 6. Hi everyone. I am writing this update with a heavy heart. Some of you have been following my family saga for a while, and unfortunately, things have taken another dramatic turn. My grandfather, who was a central figure in my life and in my recent stories, has passed away. It has been a difficult time, and not just because of the grief. True to form, the family drama did not even stop to give us a break. Grandpa passed away recently after a short illness. It was not entirely unexpected, given his age, but it was still a hard blow. Among his final arrangements, he left a personal letter for me, which was both touching and revealing. In it, he expressed deep regret for the years we lost when we were estranged and explained some of the reasons behind his decisions. He apologized for not being there when I needed him and told me how proud he was of the person I have become despite the family chaos. The letter is something I will always treasure. It was written in his meticulous handwriting, each word carefully chosen, and it gave me a lot of emotional closure on issues that had bothered me for years. It was his way of making amends, and I am very grateful for it. As the executor of his will, I had a front row seat to watch the drama unfold once his last will and testament was read publicly. Grandpa had a large fortune and left a considerable inheritance for me, acknowledging in his will that this was both a gesture of love and a way to make amends for the past. You would think that after the recent legal battle which already confirmed Grandpa's mental clarity and his right to decide about his estate as he saw fit, my relatives would step aside. Well, think again. Almost immediately, my phone started blowing up with messages and calls. Relatives who had not bothered to ask about Grandpa or me for years were suddenly very interested in expressing their grief and family solidarity. But it did not take long for their true motivation to come to light. Here is a summary of the kind of messages I am dealing with. A cousin I have not seen in over a decade wrote to me saying he is having trouble paying his mortgage and that a little help from the inheritance could save his family's home. An aunt who once publicly declared that I would never amount to anything suddenly remembered the strong bond we had in childhood. She strongly hinted that investing in her failing business would be what Grandpa would have wanted, since that way the money would stay in the family. My younger brother, who sided with everyone else during the lawsuit, sent me a long, rambling email complaining about how unfair it was that I was hoarding family resources that, according to him, could benefit everyone. I have had to be firm, even a little harsh. My response has been consistent. No? I explained that the inheritance is a settled legal matter according to Grandpa's clear wishes and not a family slush fund. I also reminded them that their current financial or personal situations, while unfortunate, are no reason for me to ignore Grandpa's final will. Given the previous lawsuit, I am not leaving anything to chance. I have consulted with my lawyer to ensure that all interactions that may have legal relevance are documented. My wife and I are also planning how to use the inheritance responsibly. We are looking into the possibility of creating educational funds for our children, making donations to charities, and perhaps investing in some long-term financial assets. We want to honor Grandpa's memory by using this inheritance to secure our children's future and help others, not to feed endless family greed. This whole process has been exhausting but revealing. I have come to see how toxic dynamics can overshadow genuine relationships and how money can twist family ties until they are unrecognizable. Now, my focus is on my immediate family, my wife and children, and on moving forward with the lessons learned from Grandpa's life and recent conflicts.